Karen's audacity reached an all-time high when the HOA called cops to evict me from my own cabin. She claimed that I was violating community rules, attempting to claim ownership over land she insisted was shared property. What she didn't anticipate was that the cabin and the surrounding land was entirely mine, fully documented, and that her attempt at interference would backfire in spectacular fashion. It began early one morning, when my moving trucks were delivering furniture and supplies to the cabin. Karen, ever vigilant in her imagined authority, noticed from afar and immediately dialed 911. Her call painted a picture of unauthorized intrusion, designed to have law enforcement remove me from my own property. She seemed oblivious to the fact that she had overstepped every legal boundary. I monitored the situation through security cameras, a mixture of calm and amusement as her plan began to unfold. Karen had stationed a few HOA allies at the perimeter, believing that sheer numbers could intimidate me or create obstacles. They were unaware that my preparation extended beyond simple security measures. Every inch of the property was documented, and every action they attempted would be captured and used against them. When the officers arrived, Karen launched into her familiar tirade. She waved her arms, shouted about community rules, and insisted that I was trespassing. I stepped forward calmly, presenting deeds, property surveys, and legal documentation confirming that the cabin and surrounding land were entirely mine. The officers quickly realized that Karen's claims were baseless and that she had attempted to misuse law enforcement for personal vendetta. Karen's confidence faltered. She tried to argue further, citing non-existent HOA powers and community rights, but her words fell flat against irrefutable legal evidence. I allowed the officers to fully assess the situation, documenting Karen's reckless behavior in the process. Every misstep, every exaggeration, and every attempt to manipulate law enforcement was recorded. By mid-morning, the cabin was fully operational. My belongings were safely inside, and the HOA's intrusion had been completely neutralized. Karen's audacity had produced nothing but humiliation and legal exposure. The officers, impressed by the thorough documentation and clarity of ownership, reminded her that any further attempts at harassment or interference could result in charges for false reporting, trespassing, and obstruction of lawful property access. As the sun climbed higher, Karen's panic was evident. She realized too late that her plan to evict me had backfired. Her obsession with control, her delusions of power, and her reckless interference had only reinforced my authority. The cabin, once threatened by her audacity, now stood as a symbol of preparation, legality, and unassailable ownership. By afternoon, the cabin was secure, the perimeter fully monitored, and my property fully under my control. Karen had been thoroughly humiliated, powerless, and exposed. Her attempt to leverage law enforcement against me had failed spectacularly. As evening approached, I reflected on the day. Karen's relentless attempts to assert dominance had repeatedly collided with preparation, law, and authority. My cabin, my land, and my rights remained untouchable, reinforced not only by legal documentation but by meticulous planning and strategic foresight. The lesson was clear. Arrogance, audacity, and reckless interference have consequences. Karen had underestimated both the law and my ability to protect what was mine. By nightfall, the cabin was fully operational, my property secure, and Karen's attempt to manipulate, intimidate, and assert control had resulted in nothing but public humiliation and potential legal consequences. The 12,000-acre ranch remained untouchable. Karen's interference had failed spectacularly, yet again, reinforcing a truth that echoed across every acre. Preparation, authority, and law will always triumph over arrogance, audacity, and reckless ambition.